네, 30분에 정확히 두 번째 키노트가 진행될 예정입니다. 밖에 계신 분들은 안으로 입장을 부탁드리도록 하겠고요. 정확하게 강의 시간은 45분 동안 진행이 되고 15분간 질의응답 시간이 있습니다. 질의응답을 원하시는 분들은 손을 들어서 표를 해주시면 저희가 운영요원이 마이크로 전달을 드릴 예정이고요. 영어가 가능하신 분들은 영어로 직접 질문을 하시면 되고요. 영어가 안 되시는 분들은 한글로 질문을 해주시면 저희가 번역을 해서 발표자 분께 전달을 할 예정입니다.
It's a very complex machinery. We have over 1,000 motors that we need to control precisely with the computer. So for us, the biggest challenge was, instead of trying to hide the complex machine, we make it disappear through the beauty of motion.
네, 지금부터 초청 강연을 시작을 하도록 하겠습니다. 핸드폰은 진동으로 부탁을 드리도록 하고요. 다시 한번 말씀드리면 45분간 강연이 진행이 되고 15분간 질의응답이 진행될 예정입니다. 질의를 원하시는 분은 손을 들어 펴주시면 저희가 운영요원이 마이크를 전달드리도록 하겠습니다. 그러면 두 번째 초청 강연을 소개해 주실 이준환 교수님께 마이크를 넘겨드리도록 하겠습니다. 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
안녕하세요. 서울대학교 유진환 교수입니다. 평소 존경하던 히로시 교수님을 소개하게 돼서 영광스럽게 생각합니다. 히로시 교수님은 워낙 유명하셔서 제가 이렇게 자세하게 소개할 필요는 없을 것 같아서 간단하게 소개드리고 바로 강연을 듣도록 하겠습니다. 히로시 교수님은 MIT 미디어랩의 교수이자 2008년부터 미디어랩의 어소시에이트 디렉터를 맡고 계십니다. 현재 미디어랩에서 펜서블 미디어랩을 운영하고 계시고 Things That Think라는 이름의 컨소시엄을 디렉팅하고 계십니다. 많은 분들이 잘 아시다시피 히로시 교수님은 텐서블 비트와 레디컬 아토մ스라는 개념을 통해서 HCI에서 새로운 비전을 제시해주고 계시고요. 이를 기반으로 지금까지 굉장히 많은 연구를 ACM 시그카이, 시그랩, 그다음에 라이온 페스티벌, 아이가 등에서 발표하셨고 심지어는 pompidu 센터, 그다음에 빅토리아 앨버트 뮤지엄 등에서 소개하기도 하셨습니다. 그래서 MIT 미디어랩에 합류하기 이전에 이시 교수님은 일본의 NTT 휴먼 인터페이스 랩에서 CSCW 연구부를 이끌으셨고요. 그래서 여기에서 팀 워크스테이션, 클리어 보드와 같은 것들을 개발하셨는데 이런 연구들이 후에 미디어랩에서의 연구의 기초가 되었습니다. 그래서 오늘 강의에서 히로시 교수님은 그동안 연구해오셨던 텐서블 비트 연구를 소개하고 이를 기반으로 새롭게 진행되고 있는 레디컬 아톰의 연구를 통해서 미래의 인터랙션이 어떻게 변할 것인지를 소개해 주실 겁니다. 자, 다들 박수로 히로시 교수님을 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
Good morning. Thank you for kind introductions. And it's a really great pleasure and honor for me to be at the Human Computer Interaction Conference in Korea because HCI is my home. And also I really want to congratulate the big success of HCI Korea 2015. I know so many people volunteer work very hard making this big conference succeed. But also another congratulation is about KAI 2015. HIVE is an international ASEAN conference that I've been watching for 20, maybe almost 30 years. But that conference came first time to Asia. Then they chose Seoul, this city, as a stage of the real international discussion about ideas. So the theme of this conference is interaction of everything. And many people get excited about Internet of Things. But I care more about the people and ideas. Interaction between or among ideas are much more exciting than the communication between the gadget or devices in a technological sense. So today, I'd like to focus how collision or interaction of ideas really generate a lot of the interesting ideas, become an engine of creation or innovation. So ideas colliding. For example, HCI, definitely computer science, cognitive psychology, social science, engineers, many people from different disciplines have a discourse. So collision of the ideas in the boundary between the discipline is very, very critical. Because new opportunities emerges. If everybody agreed about ultimate interface, it's boring. There's no reason of discussion or improvement. But here, new opportunity emerges. Then it's also lead to the new discipline emerge and transcend. HCI, for computer-human interaction, took many, many years to be recognized as truly interdisciplinary research field. But at the beginning, it was very, very small ad hoc branch of computer science, for example. So MIT Media is a part of the School of Architecture and Planning, and our academic program is called Media Arts and Science. And always at edge or boundary that the two different fields collide, in this case arts and science, that generates all the interesting tension and opportunity. Let me take music and technology as an example of such boundary. PhD candidate Xiao Xiao, originally from China, designed, invented this new piece called Mirror Field to challenge the concept of appreciating music. Music, not just sound which vibrates air. Even there's no sound, all the process of breathing of the musician, or the gesture, and body interaction contribute to the movement of the music. I'd like to show other example of design. How many people have been to Milan Salone, Milan Design Week? Good. So many designer, product designer knows that's a place that the best furniture designers compete each other. We worked with Lexus International to bring totally different beasts to destroy the conventional notion of the furniture. So we designed 1,152 computationally controlled pins. This is a machine represents engine. It's not a static frozen furniture, but dynamic and alive. surface, skin of frozen furniture. So transform was designed to make an intentional collision of the ideas from design, furniture design, static, frozen, beauty of surface, versus beauty of the machine and the computational algorithm, which has very different aesthetics. So engine is called inform. Later, I'd like to show the inform, but we put 3 engines called inform into this machine called transform to create totally different experience, namely collision of design and technology, or collision between stillness and dynamic motions. So our approach can be summarized as a transdisciplinary, finding opportunity in conflict between disciplines, breaking down old paradigms to create new archetype. In short, it's Aufheben. How many people speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Nobody? Okay, good. So Hegelian philosophers created this concept of the Aufheben. Unfortunately, there's no good words in English. So this transdisciplinary approach is something very important, and it's driven by the vision. So vision is another important thread on my talk today. Definitely, we love and hate technologies. Technology inevitably changing our own life and the perception of the world. But technology gets obsolete so quickly. How many people have a smartphone now with you? I'm sure most of you guys. How many people believe you still keep using same hardware models in 3 years? Because obsolescence is already embedded in the design. Even machine is usable, you throw away. Then your machine goes to landfill. That's an engine of capitalism. So technology gets obsolete very, very quickly. Also, users' needs constantly changing. People still appreciate listening to music, but LP, CD, MP3, cloud stream, grammatically service application has been changing. But the vision, true vision, does not change and live over our lifespan, like Vannevar Bush mimics original hypertext, ultimate display of Ivan Sutherland, or collective intelligence of Douglas Engelbart, and ubiquitous computing of Mark Weiser. Those visions live much longer than the lifespan of technology. That's why my research focuses on the visions. This illustration summarizes my battle against Pixel Empire. When I moved to MIT 20 years ago, dominant force was a pixel. In the left side, using GUI, painted bits, graphical user interface. Digital is very powerful, but the representation is confined to the pixel. Pixel is intangible, stuck behind a flat screen. You can't really touch, feel, manipulate using your body. Always you have to depend on remote control, like a mouse, keyboard, or touch screen. Even touch screen, you are only touching the surface of the water, but the information bottom of the pond or lake. So 20 years ago, I decided to defy gravity. Gravity means pixel-oriented intangible representation. So I decided to make partially physical, pushing information above the water. But after 15 years, I realized still there's a limitation. So that's the reason I made another jump called new vision, called radical atoms. Today I'd like to condense my 20 years of the battle against pixel empires into 45 minutes. And so hope you get what drove our research, what's the criteria, principle of the research. So my intellectual concern here is representation. How to represent information really matters and very critical. How many people are mathematicians or love mathematics? If you use a mathematical formula, you can apply all the rigid, well-defined linear operators How many people are visual thinker, sketching every day? I'm sure more. Yeah. If you're a designer, architect, you sketch. Then you can do special holistic manipulation of the object in your brain. So this operation is incompatible with mathematical operation. So if you choose representation of mathematics or visual sketching, you only confine what mental operator you can apply. So representation matters, but the representation really constrains your design space, innovation space. That's the reason I try to invent new representation. Orally is the knowledge of the solar system. Many scientists observed the stars through naked eyes or telescope, then understood the structure or science. But this orally mechanical structure has very strong interface, much better than this one or touch screen. That is this handle. This handle is supposed to be grabbed by your hand. So when you grab this handle, then rotate, your body is part of the machine. You feel the kinesthesia, body, muscle, nervous system is completely in sync with the movement of stars, satellite, around the sun. So there's no ambiguity about why planets have 4 seasons, Earth, or why solar eclipse or lunar eclipse exist. So this coupling of the body and computation is completely missing currently. That's the reason 20 years ago I started the endeavor called tangibles and radical atoms. So everything is digital. Many people talk about how to bridge physical world, RFID tag, position tracking, computer vision, all great. But I focus on representation, pushing information above the water. So in one line, embody digital information and computation so that you can directly manipulate using your body, hands. That's it. But it's very abstract. It took a few years to really come up with examples that are good enough to convince the audience. In the beginning, nobody really understood what I meant. And I submitted a paper, Tangibles Kind 97. It's a visual paper, and almost no reviewer really appreciated it. But Mark Weiser was one of the reviewers, and he strongly encouraged the committee to accept this paper. Later he told me, and he sent a nice email. This is a vision of the computation of 21st century. Also, Mark Weiser was also very concerned. His ubiquitous computing concept was abused. Everybody said, mine is ubiquitous. So, his real philosophy of ubiquitous is very close related to the vision of tangibles. Weaving advanced technology that moves themselves into the everyday fabric of everyday life. So invisibility, transparency, that really coincides with goal of tangibles. So let me show the example of the music bottles as a first example, early example of tangibles. I have a dream to give a gift present to my mom. She wants to know the weather forecast every morning she wakes up. So instead of waiting for the weather forecast on TV, I want her to open this bottle, blue bottle. So today's fine day. Because she could for me certain times opening social bottles. So this is what she knows, opening, then contents, coming out. She never touched any machine in her life. And how to design the media based on her understanding of the kitchen, warm, old world. But she passed away in 1998. So that's the reason I designed this music bottle, putting music instead of wizards as a tribute to her. Also, my guru and the best friend of Mark Weiser passed away the next year. He really proposed how technology should become transparent or invisible. So this paper, a translated interface as a tribute to Mark Weiser, is a kind of a tribute that I sent to him. So not necessarily always research is very scientific or utilitarian driving force. Sometimes it also comes from very emotional concept or desire to express. How many people paint using water or oil? Well, not so many. You should paint a lot. I'm sure your kids paint a lot. So let me show the iron brush as an example, which also inspired by the art of painting. They also went out to the studio looking for the color in nature. They looked for the sun, soil, or seashells. And perhaps in Asia, or plants, or flowers, are the source of the pigments. Then they painted with those colors, so that every color has a story, every stroke has a history. Because you use technology, you can also capture the dynamic emotions. So key idea is you go higher up of supply chain, material chain. If you go to a supermarket with beautiful fruits, then you eat. But the pattern of the color or color leaves in autumn may inspire to create new expression. So capturing the beautiful color, pattern, and motion from the nature of surrounding, then turn them into the ink to express is the key idea of the iron brush which Kiriko Ryokai invented. So we're not just emulating the painting, but letting people to go the real world, then correct the beautiful patterns, but they give a new meaning. So here you can see that printing, you see teddy bear, from which this orangish color came from. This is very important because its origin, history, from where this color came from means a lot. We consume a lot of stuff, but not thinking about from where it came, where it goes. So we brought this system to the kindergarten. The beauty is kids don't listen to MIT professor. She used her own imagination to interpret the meaning of the iron brush. future artist really invent even more exciting meaning or usage. This interaction is something this community should really enjoy and experiment. So this is a airbrush, and this is photos I took in Barcelona when I was invited to the Art Futures with a bunch of other artists. To show you why. And then we went to the market in the late evening. Then we are very, very pleased to see all the stores showing the beautiful palettes for the future painters. Who knows? Airbrush. So one will be very different because the key idea is one of the palette. It's a new like eyeglass. So if you interact with the airbrush, you don't see the world as you saw before. You can't stop dreaming what kind of paintings I can make, what kind of story I can tell using this beautiful, exciting pattern of the colorings, for example, or tapestry. So turning on the switch of imagination. So users of airbrush already wearing invisible eyeglass through which they see the new possibility and the potential. That's the goal of our design. So MIT Mira is a part of school architecture and planning, which we're very lucky because architecture, urban planning is such a profound discipline which has such a wide spectrum. Of course, they talk about science, structural engineering, but also they care about design, aesthetics, concept, cultural, economical impact to the society. So this diversity from multiple point of view really helps to shape media. So this is an early example of art done by my first PhD student called John Dakofra. How many people saw the minor report? Good. John is behind my report. All the gesture interface, tangible, holographic, was designed by him. And so he and I co-invented this new tangible bits. So these building models above the wall, above the table, is a white part, tipped with an iceberg of information. So now you see the shadow, and also you see the light reflection. If you change the surface from bricks to glass, now you see the reflection of lights. Then clock, left side, serving as a controller of time or position of the sun. Also, you can apply free dynamics, Navier-Stokes equation. How many people speak Navier-Stokes equation? Becky? Oh, not so many. It's beautiful. Things moving is beautiful. And this is like a wind. That could be water, or pedestrians, or cars. But every time you grab the building, moving, boundary condition is updated. Then new data is fed into the equation running under the water or under the table. So hope you get the idea of tangibles. Physically embodied portion of information, which also become not only representation but also controller. You can still grab it. Drawing the boundary between representation and controllers is one of the contributions. GUI, between pixel and the mouse, is completely separated. So, we are very interested about form giving. So clay is another very powerful materials, or sand, or soil for landscape design. How many people are landscape designer? How many people are architect? That's the way. I think cross-disciplinary collaboration with architect or urban planner is very, very rewarding because they have very, very great set of vocabularies and perspective. So this landscape, which enables you to sculpt the sand to make a beautiful scenic golf course or hill. But the computer always capturing the geometry in real time. So we use a laser to find the original. And now using this is our Australian technical exhibition in Austria, 2003. So now you see the vector. This vector shows the direction water run down. Water drainage is a very key issue for landscape design. Then also the color shows the speed of the water movement. which also inform the potential erosion. Sculpting to give a beautiful form, while analyzing numerically, scientifically, using left side of the brain is one of the contributions of the soundscape and also eliminating gray. Because this is tangible, you can use also tactility. You've been playing in the sandbox for many, many years when you were kids. So there's no ambiguity. And the best media, your hands and the sound play. But also become computational because shape inform to the algorithm. But there are problems. When you change the landscape, you can't restore because sound doesn't have shape memory. Also building, even you want to change the floors from second floor to third floors or height or shape, you can't do on the fly because all the physical portion is frozen, very rigid, passive. So we realize unless we can make physical part also dynamically transformable, you can think with dynamic computation under the water. That's the reason we decided to move to the new endeavor of radical atoms. Radical atoms is a hypothetical future materials which transform, conform, and inform. For details, there's a paper in the Interaction magazine a few years ago, so hope you have a chance to take a look. But to make an evolution of soundscape and illuminating gray, we started the experiment of a shape display. Daniel Reitzinger did this for master thesis. You can project the Google Earth, but then you can translate or zoom in. These are physically embodied landscape. Also, we developed a variety of the intellectual language. Of course, using metaphor of sound and gray, you can directly push or pull each pin using a tactile feedback. But you can also do the mid-range gestures, like a G-speak or oblong, which John studied. So we invent new representation, then invent new intellectual language, then explore the vision. So rendering has been meaning pixel. So behind the shape display is the screen, which shows all the mesh. But this pixel and the physical representation is strictly synced. Imagine it's a mountain building. You can explore how current Alps mountain looks like millions of years ago. And also you can push directly using your hands with tactile feedback, while you can do mid-range gesture. So these are new representations. We try to define the meaning of the rendering. So we designed the more advanced version called Inform. It took 2 years. Daniel Reitzinger and Sean Foreman, 2 PhD candidates, worked full time. So now I'd like to show the completely new type of the telepresence application which is enabled by Inform. How many people saw this video? Not so many. It became viral. see in the new art piece called Transform. So this is an experiment of new expression inspired by the action in the top, in the mid, reactive motion. Don't ask me why. This is the us. So let me move to the transform, the final form of this design, which we present in the Milan Salone. So we really want to show the new form of materials, which does. And this is a member of my team, and this is a video of the making. I'd like to introduce my members. Sean Former, Daniel Reitzinger, both design this shape fundamental engines.
Our response to the amazing emotions, how to integrate the beautiful aesthetics of the furniture that pairs art aesthetics of dynamic motions like a machine, constantly moving with the data and energy. Transform is about the simplicity of motion emerging from the complexity of the computational world.
He goes to Stanford from next spring as a professor.
So usually a furniture is a static object,
Philip,
but we wanted to give it
Germany.
some motion, to give it some life form, so to explore the interplay of static and dynamic, which we can achieve with things that react to you, but also can display any content.
He designed all the software emulation tools and the motion design.
We can do more important than
I mean,
the
Zora
function itself. But
is
we
a
still
product
want
designer
to feel
and
like
a
it's
philosopher.
one unified design. They're not separate.
The main thing is it's a very
Daniel
complex
Reitzinger,
machinery.
he studied
It requires
authorship display project several years ago.
precisely with the computer. So for us, the biggest challenge was, instead of trying to hide the complex machine, we make it disappear through the beauty of motion.
It's my love. It's very messy. By the way, all the projects, the inform, transform, all the videos are archived on the website. If you have interest, I encourage you to take a look. Also, all the papers there. So, I'd like to show the final piece we edited based on the footage from Milan. How to communicate the new concept, amazing motions, collision of technology and design, stillness and dynamic motions, but using a story of nature versus machine. So we started with nature. It's a lake, and the fishes are swimming. You can give energy. In water is alive. Respond to your energy and presence. So these are nature, but the machine is jealous about nature because it's beautiful. Machine started to emulate the nature, beauty, aesthetics of the wave. Now machine is developing algorithms. They are making mathematical equation evolve. They came to the new expression. Machine is jealous because we human beings are social, interact, like shake hand or cry. So they find friends all you talk. This is one of millions of possibilities. This is not about this story. This is a kind of invention of a new white canvas, paintbrush and ink, waiting for Picasso. One new piano, waiting for Bach. So we invent the new medium of artistic expression, communication, and design for the designer, artists of the future. So I'd like to thank all the amazing, hardworking students and colleagues. And, but also we want to go further, transform, demonstrate the power of storytelling, design, communications, and branding. We take it many constraints for granted. One example is gravity. You are on the floor. You are stuck on the floor because of gravity. But even you are not thinking about gravity, you took it for granted. To defy gravity is one of the important slogans in my group. Why we have to constrain by 1G. So my team, generally from Korea, now in Samsung, and coming back soon, and Renipos, and we co-invented a new material called Xenon. Xenon has three important features. First, we can put in the air, then stay there, floating, levitating. Second, computer knows exact location. Number three, computer can also move it. So this can medium new materials to let you look up your sky. This convention hall, ceiling is very high. Beyond the ceiling, there's sky, no limitations. If you look up, above head, there's a huge opportunity of design, conceptual. So we love space, universe, astronomy. We often tend to use Kepler's law. You can really understand the Kepler's law, changing the planet from one orbit to another orbit. Angular velocity constant. How many people study astronomy? Okay. Anyway, so transdisciplinary discourse, interaction beyond barrier between disciplines is so critical. You have to speak many different languages. You have to be able to translate between arts, design, science, technology. You shouldn't be artist or designer or scientist or engineer. If you put a label to your name card, I'm an engineer, it's a dead end. You have to be all. You have to be artist, science, designer, engineer. Otherwise, you can't really invent exciting materials. So let me summarize. Seemingly contrasting fields, when brought together, inform each other through the collision of ideas, transform into new dimension greater than each other, and transmute beyond any preconceived expectation. Being at university is amazing. University has so many different disciplines, and also strong industry in Asia. So hope you can really do cross-fertilizations, learn from each other based on mutual respect, speak each other's language, then invent idea which works for translating across the boundary. So Arake gave a very strong guiding principle. The future is not to predict, but to invent. We have a dream of the future which you want to seek. It's not a marketing or prediction. Most important thing, your desire to build future. So I'd like to give us three messages to the young designer or young researcher or young engineer. It's very tough to defy gravity, but you need to speak up. So this is a first principle, one dimension. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Have you ever hammered down? Then you don't remember. So hit harder. But stick out too far, and no hammer can reach you. In Japanese, we call derukuryuku. If you are going to stick out all the way. If people try to push you down, do everything you can to keep popping back up. This is very important in a society or institute which appreciate homogeneities, not appreciating being very different. But you have a belief you have to keep sticking up. This is number one dimension. Second, two-dimensional. One of my friends told me, what is a research? What is a competition? So I answered, it's not a real challenge for a creator to run over 100-meter racetrack faster than others. To explore an empty terrain through which no one else has pushed before. To run alone with all one's might on a road not yet born. This is a challenge. In such a place, neither spectator, referee, or stockpot exist. Many people ask, show me the number, data of the marketing. There's no number. Some people don't believe it. But there must be something really exciting you have to feel in the gut instinct without numbers. Competition on the racetrack, which requires stopwatch, is not a real competition. Last piece is three-dimensional. That's a summary of my life in MIT for 20 years. The reason I chose to come to MIT 20 years ago, when I was headhunted by Nicolas Ponte and Alan Kay, I thought MIT was like a mountain, so high that top is beyond the clouds, so I can't see the summit. Also, there was no path leading to the top. Honestly, I thought, then I decided to go to MIT, left Asia. But later I learned, I was completely wrong. There's no such mountain to climb. I had to build mountain from ground zero, then become fast on this planet to climb to the summit. That's only the way you can survive at MIT for 10 years. I know some delay of translation, but don't worry, everything is already in the cloud. How many people tweets? Oh, not so many. All the important stuff already tweeted. You can see in the right bottom corner, mark Hirishi and MIT. And how many people follow me? Oh my God, it's free. You don't take a notes. All the great words, all in the crowd. Even I'm gone, still shining. So follow me. So these are 9 Chinese characters. How many people read Chinese characters? Good. We are Asia. We share ideographic characters. These are 9 characters I'm supposed to etch on my tomb very soon. And but these are 3 summary: sticking out, trailblaze, and build mountains. These are messages I want to share with you, especially if you're challengers and creators or innovators. So vision is something most important. You must have a vision, philosophy, desire. So you have to keep envisioning, dreaming up what kind of future you want to see, what kind of future you want to leave for your children or grandchildren. But also dreaming is not enough. You have to embody. Envision comes from the art and the philosophy. But embody comes from engineering, science, and design. You have to speak computer science, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, product design, printing, fabrication, all. But in the end, the outcome has to reach the height of the art. Unless your work inspires people, resonates the guts, it doesn't stick. Just go to another field. So envision, embody, inspire is another message I want to share with you, which guided my research. So today, I really like to thank all of you spending your precious time attending my talk. The value of my talk is not in my talk. What kind of change may happen in your mind toward the future determines the value. If you don't feel anything, if you don't remember anything, you waste time. But something has changed. That's great. So please tweet. If you learn anything, please tweet. Mention me at @MIT. Then I try to answer. That's the way to start the connection. So thank you for today. I have a plan. I'm very busy, so I have to go to different places. Yet to be soon. One of my students said, let me include also negative coordinate. It's also possible. Altogether, 2100. Sorry. Nobody lives. But important things, we are responsible for the future. Future never ends by a retirement or death. Future continues to exist, for which we are responsible as a designer or researcher or creator. This is a question I'm asking to myself every day, also my students. What do you want to be for those living in 2200? How do you want to be remembered? So 2200 is not just a simple number, but a symbol of the future. So life has set end point, but the future is never ending, and we are responsible for that future. We use technology, we invent technology. Oh my gosh. One moment. So, most important point. So technology soon become obsolete. Your machine you run today are going to landfill. That's a fate, because obsolescence is embedded in the design. But the true vision, true philosophy, true architecture, principles can live forever. If we design something which is really exciting, that's something which can really impact to the futures beyond our lifespan. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
자, 그럼 지금부터 질문을 받도록 하겠습니다. 질문이 있으신 분은 손을 들어주시면 마이크를 가져다 드리겠습니다. 영어로 질문 가능하신 분은 말씀해 주세요.
By the way, this is a quick again. So please, if you're shy, you can ask a question now. You can still tweet, mention me, so that I can learn your message. So please, follow me.
Hi, first I'm really thank you and I'm really thrilled to meet you here, and I belong to the Emotion, and my name is Soyeon Jin. And
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you too.
Thank you for asking the first question in English. You beautiful English.
I graduated Massachusetts College of Art and Design with my industrial design degree, so it had to me to give opportunity to know your work very well, and it gives me impression a lot to your giving humanity on the technology beat instead of decorating technology. And it gives me a lot of stuff after following your speech, and I have one question to you as a designer, and I have a designer background. What kind of position and what kind of develop in your project? It seems like we can be participating in the ideation, but when you're developing actual project and prototype, how far can we anticipate?
I'm not speaking English here to communicate my idea international field. I have to speak English. Also, I was attending yesterday conference, but I was very sad because it's all Korean. I should have learned Korean language, but I couldn't really learn if I couldn't ask questions. So you have ideas, it's great, but you can implement. If you can turn into the experience that other people interact, it doesn't exist. It's not just PowerPoint or keynote slide. There must be real things. So you have a desire to communicate, influence. You have to think and build, then abstract, then tweet. So please forget that you are a designer. till yesterday. That you as a creator and a communicator, you have to learn, speak all the language. But the bar of the hardware development is getting louder and louder. Arduino, all the open source, software is more easier. So it's just a bit of effort. So if you have a really good idea, worth spreading, don't be afraid to speak technological language and come to MIT. And other university. Sorry. Can I get my slide tonight? Can I check my slide? It's very important. Yeah.
It's a great pleasure to meet a rock star in the research world.
Pure academic.
Let me talk about my background a little bit.
Sure.
And then ask a question.
Sure.
I have a multidisciplinary background. I work on wireless networks, and my PhD work is on machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I am an amateur musician. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I speak about 3 different languages fluently.
Great.
Yeah.
I speak 4 now.
Oh. But I have come to a realization that doing more than 2 is useless. For example, getting a job, right? People usually focus on one area. Like 2, so okay, wireless communications and machine learning are used. It means they are not related much. So I hit my ground. And the last part that in your presentation showing the vision was very touching to me.
Yeah.
Yes. So and I see you as a visionary. And in terms of tangible bits and related topic, I would like to ask you the future of audio or music. So do you, it's okay, because you work on more the visualization and stuff like that, but I am wondering if you see the future, right? You also see other fields. So what do you see audio or music will happen in 2000, again, the 24th century?
Okay. I think music is very profound and very essential, one of the many art forms. Also sculpting, dancing, theater, so many different pieces. So I want to really focus on one specific expression. But what I try to communicate is process, capturing process. Even before her finger hits the piano key first, then there is a sound. Already music has started. How many people do calligraphy? Calligraphy? No? Okay. I'm a calligrapher. Even first ink hit the paper, already calligraphy started. When you make an ink, breathing, then face with the paper. All this process is very important. All the movement of the wrist is something so important that teacher has to teach. Sometimes you grab me, then teach how to use my kinesthetic body. So how to capture not only the result, but the process is something very important question. That drove us to Miracle and many other art forms. Many people see the final results, final aspect of the system. But so many interesting arguments happened. There are many ideas are never in materials in the end, but a huge asset. It's called design natural. So maybe focusing to the process of creation, then capture this process. The process itself would be a very, very beautiful art form. I have a very, very favorite poet called Kenji Miyazawa. How many people know Kenji Miyazawa? He wrote a lot of the poem, but one of the poem, series of poem he wrote when his loved sister died was so touching. I read his poem many, many times in a printed book, 9-point Mincho font in a book when I traveled with train to News Hostel. But before I left Japan, 1995, I went to his museum in Hanamachi City, and I saw his handwritten manuscript, and I was shocked because I see his whole struggle to deal with the shock of the death by writing, erasing, writing with the blue ink, the fountain pen like this one. Seeing his handwritten manuscript, I started seeing his hands and the body and hearing the sound of the tip of the pen scratching the paper. So struggle, and he overcame to the religious level with beautiful poem. That was completely missing in mass production of the poem I consumed in a book printed media. Well, also artists didn't complain why all those important portion is lost. So you have to be an artist. We have to appreciate art. Art drives innovation.
시간이 간과해서 예상으로 마쳐야 될 것 같습니다. 혹시 질문이 있으신 분들은 물어주실 수 있습니다. 테이프가 계셔서 열심히 보시는 분 계시면 보여주실 수 있으면 모르겠습니다. 자, 다시 한번